Welcome back, everyone. My name is Martilise, and we are continuing with our lockdown sessions at Potter's Place and Clay & Co. So today we are going to make a coiled bust planter. Let's see. And this is how we're going to go about. Start by planning on paper, right? And then we start coiling the bust from shoulders to neck, section A. Section B is to coil the head upside down from top to chin, section B. Section C would be to join these two parts, and section D, that's a surprise. I've prepared a few coils, and see how these coils got little folds on the ends. Please do cut them off. And if you have forgotten how to roll a coil, here's a reminder. I am using a piece of clay, the tip of my finger till the end of my palm, and I'm going to roll it front to back into the table. Tip of my finger to the end of my palm, forward into the table, and keep rolling until you've got a pinky thick coil. Anyway, so you can see all my coils are not the same length, that they are the same width. That's good. So it doesn't matter if it's not the same length. We don't want a weak point. So you're going to coil and just continue. It doesn't matter the length of your coil. Right, let's start on the outside line. Lay down my first coil right there. Just continue. There we go. And now I am placing the coil not right on top, but rather slightly to the inside of the previous coil, because our bust is moving inwards. It's like a staircase going up and in at the same time. So how do I know I'm doing it right? When I have a bird's eye view, I need to be able to see the outside of the previous coil and not the inside. Alright, so that means I'm moving in with the coil. And this is what I'm going to do to create the bust for the planter. Right around, just keep coiling. Every time I go around, place the new coil on top of the previous by slightly pinching it actually on, not squeezing, using my index finger in my thumb to get it right on there. And now I'm able to see the previous coil right around. Now that I've placed my first 4 coils, I'm ready to start smoothing, and use my thumb on the in and outside to join the coils together. And this I do by closing that gap line in between. Okay, so you can use your thumb, and you're going to go right around, support on the opposite side, and close the gaps right around. Okay, all the way around, inside and outside. And now that I'm done smoothing, joining the clay together, I am ready to stuff my coiled section with rolled up balls of either the yellow pages or even normal newspaper would do the job. So the reason why we do this is so that there is a support system for the coils, because this base would still be carrying a lot more, right? So the process we're following is we coil, we smooth to join, and we stuff to support. You can check this by holding a ruler up straight and just making sure you are coiling at the right angle for the right height. Okay, and now that I have coiled, I am going to add a cap before I start coiling for the neck. So here I've got a slightly big piece of clay. I'm going to neaten the ball of clay, cup my hand to slap it round, just fairly round. Okay, and now squeeze it flat in order to create a slab. All right, wet a little bit, you can even score with your toothbrush. Just create some slurry on your cap, place it right, and you can see I've got a little bit of an overhang. That's good. Gonna press it on there. Luckily I do have that support of the paper on the inside. If it's way too much, cut off. Don't have too much. The overhang shouldn't be more than 5 millimeters. Say 3 millimeters is more than enough. Okay, and like the coil, I'm going to work in the cap there. Okay, all around. And very important, before we continue with coiling the neck, is to cut a hole in here so that air is not trapped in the neck. Okay, so now in the middle, cut a hole. And there we go. Our cap is on and our cap has a hole. Right, neaten all around. Continue coiling. Instead of coiling in, we are now going to coil straight up. So on that edge where the previous coil has ended, I am now coiling the neck of the bust, and I am placing the coil with my index finger and thumb straight on top of the previous coil, not being able to see the out or inside of the coil I've just placed, because it's straight on top and therefore it will move straight up, not curving in or out. And the same process goes for the neck as what we've done in the shoulder section. We coil, we smooth, and we stuff. take my beautifully rolled coil, place it, and same procedure as every year, James. We're going to coil, placing the coil slightly to the inside of the previous coil in order to get the idea of a head moving in. Let's talk troubleshooting. So say that I've coiled from the right width of the head top, and that should be more or less 15 centimeters, and I've coiled with an angle moving inwards, but when I reached 5 centimeters up, I was already at 10 centimeters in width. So in other words, my head would be this tall, and I'm already at the neck, but I want my head to be deeper, so more than 5. I want it to be at least 10 centimeters deep. Then I continue coiling straight up like I did the neck in section A, in order not to end up with a giraffe looking pot. I manipulate the clay by a slight pinch. The clay is still wet, and therefore I can give the shape a rounder head without having the wrong measurements where B will be joined to A. Welcome to section C. Our shoulders and neck, and also the head we've coiled, has been standing and has become leather hard. Now, just before we can join these two parts together, you are welcome to neaten your clay further on. First, by using the rough area of good old kitchen dishwashing sponge, and all around, not too wet, just damp, scrape, and then use the smooth side to smooth all around. Okay, and after you have neatened and decided on your texture or no texture on the body and the head, you can further manipulate the shape by paddling. We do paddle to not only manipulate the shape but also compress the clay, and with that bonus of further neatening. Right, so any wooden object, back of it, and paddle so that B can fit neatly on A. Now I fit B onto A and press the two sections together, supporting wherever possible. Luckily we've added paper, so that helps. And for extra strength, I'm going to add a very thin coil just right here to strengthen that join. Right, so after neatening that coil, do please check that you do not lose the line where the head and the neck comes together. You really don't want this neck to be super thick, like swollen, or look like someone wearing a support system there on the neck. So you're welcome to shape this again, even by paddling a little bit on the neck again. So if you have joined the head slightly to the back of one side and not completely in the middle, that's fine, because remember, our necks fit straight and our head sits slightly forward. And just before we can start with section D, I need to make sure that I'm completely done with the shape of the bust, and therefore for finalizing the rim, you can wet the rim, and when it's wetter than leather hard, pinch all around slightly inwards so that you don't have a toilet seat for a head. Or you can also use your paddling tool, support on the inside, and paddle that top area of the rim inwards. Okie dokie, so surprise section D. Section D is the face on the planters. So let's talk about the realistic structure of the human face. So we start with an egg-like shape, or round and squished flat on the sides. Right? Now you've got a straight, if you're facing straightly forward, you've got a straight line in the middle, and then the eyes lie halfway between the top of the head and the chin. So equally divided, a halfway line is where the eyes would be lying. And then if you're looking straight forward, your eyes are also right there in the middle of these two halves. And if you want to make it more intricate, you fit 5 eye sizes into the head from the side. Okay, now the nose would be laid halfway between the line of the eyes and the chin. That's the halfway line for the nose. And then halfway between the chin and the nose is the mouth. The ears is a line extended half there, connecting the line of the eye and the nose. So there we go. And for our planter, we don't have the full forehead. All right, so our planter is ending here, and this is what we coiled. Right, so we can add a chin for our planter, and also a coil which we'll shape in the mouth. So basically a coil that looks like this. And then for the nose, we're gonna have a coil like that, 2 balls of clay round. And for the eyes, that all depends on the expression you want to give. I'm gonna go for a very calm looking person, so eyes resting. Okay, it's not necessary for ears. If you want to, you can add them, but this is what we're gonna do for the face of our planter. Okay, so from paper to clay, and that means, in other words, this is our chin line. This is where our face is ending, and that means a straight line in the middle because she's facing forward. This is her forehead. So if her eyes are right here, now I need to divide this in half. It would be there, that's the nose line. this nose line and chin line halfway for the mouth. There we go. And the chin right there. Let's start with the eyes. And the eyes should be the same size. Use one ball of clay and divide them up equally. Okay. And we're going for the calm, steady eye. There we go. You can draw out everything before you start pasting clay on. And I have to score before I can paste any clay, because this clay is leather hard, can't just smooth. I have to score now and also use slurry. There we go. Okay, we are clearly not done. Just let the clay that is really soft settle and become a little harder. It's very tricky, or in fact not tricky but useless, to work with extremely soft clay when it comes to sculpture, because the clay is actually just moving around. It's not staying in the shape that you want it to be in. And while that clay is settling, we're gonna put some clothes on our pot plant. In order to do that, first draw it out. Say I have a collar, a high collar coming up from the neck, down. Let's make an interesting collar. There. Right around, and again, before I paste anything, I have to score. And now we can see how the illusion of depth is created by only adding a coil for the collar, and that will look like she is wearing a shirt. And you can start anywhere and join your coil on that line of the collar. A very thin coil for the hairline. Now while these two coils are settling, you can start working in the eyes. So let's work in the eyes here, and you can rather take away than add more. So pinch to shape and squeeze to smooth. Try to use both of your hands together with the same amount of pressure and moving in the opposite direction together. So if I'm moving in here, I'm moving in here, and so I do allow even working on both sides. And finally, the joy of decorating your work. And please be creative. This is all up to you. You can either just plainly draw with a sharp object into the clay like that. Perhaps you want to create texture with an organic object. Here I have a broken brush which I can use to press dots all around. Sculpture is like a tree. It can be viewed from all the sides and it is something to grow in. Just look and play.